from uh, external sources, and I will show you how to import data from external sources into your Excel workbook for data analysis. So follow me right through as we go through this process and also build a responsive and interactive dashboard for quick decision making. Okay, so to import data, you go to your data tab, and then you could see from access, from web, from test, from other sources, and all of that. Now, for some of you with older versions of Excel like 2013, 2010, 2017, and 2007 and the rest, you may not get, or you will not get these two bars here as it is. For some of you, your get external data would be on this end where from access is, and then you could easily go there and see all that. But for those using 2016, it is not there. You have to come through, some are there, and then you have to come through a new query, and then from file. So you could import data from workbook, you could import data as a CSV file from test and whatsoever. So let's say I want to import currently now for this dashboard, I want to import data as a CSV file, but currently let's go to this data. So I'm in this data and I can't find the data set I'm looking for. The reason is because the data set is actually a CSV file. So it is very important you know what kind of file you are importing into Excel. Now I can't find it here. So if I'm trying to find that data from as a workbook, I won't find it. And I can rack my head and do a lot of sort. It still won't appear to me. Could also make a connection via a web page and all the rest by going through from web page and then importing the address there, and it will make a connection. Okay, but for now I'm not importing from a web page, so I'll quickly go to through CSV file and then go back to this Excel data, and you could see that. So I have this entire record and I want to import this record. Okay, so currently now I have that record already in my Excel. So instead of importing that, I should show you how to import that. Okay, so from CSV file and then Excel data, then that. Okay, and it will make a connection that's connected, and here is the data, and I'll say load to, and then it will load. Then it's asking for table. I say yes. Existing worksheets, I yes. Add this data to the data model, and then okay. So it is importing and all that. I already have the data imported already, and okay, so I'll select, cut the entire data and paste it there. Okay, I don't need that. Okay, so this is the entire data. What if you have the data already in your data spreadsheet? What do? You go to the data tab and go to recent sources. All right, and then you could import your data. So that particular data, you could see it here as a CSV file, and once I say connect, you could see that we are right back, it's connecting, and then we are right back at the process. Okay, so that is that. All right, so this is the data we have imported, and now we want to make this data ready for to create a pivot table and for other analysis, especially creating a responsive dashboard. So highlighting this data, and then I would go down to, I'll come to format and then auto column width. I've done that, and I'll clear format. I want to insert a pivot table to continue the process. Okay, so I will insert the pivot table, and then I want it to be a new workbook, to be in a new worksheet. and that is that, and say okay. So it is operating, and now this is a pivot table. So this is a pivot table and we are there already. Okay, now in order to create a responsive dashboard, what is a dashboard and what comprises of a dashboard? Now a dashboard is a visual interface that provides an overview of the key measures relevant for a particular objective with the help of charts and graphs, and it helps for quick decision making. All right, so for this purpose, we will be having several charts, several graphs, all right, to represent our data. And here we'll also include slicers, and this is where I'll show you slicers and also timelines. Okay, so for the sake of this, purpose, we will be creating several pivot tables. Okay, we'll be creating several pivot tables because we have 6 metrics to measure from this set of data, and in order to do that, we'll have to create 6 pivot tables. All right. And to create new pivot tables, you have to go back to the data set and, create another by going through the same process of insert pivot table and all of that. But in case you want to shorten the time it will take you to do that, all you just have to do is hold control key and then drag this current cell with the pivot table. You just drag that, and then you have 2, we have 3, we have 4, we have 5, and then we have 6. Okay, so we have the 6 pivot tables already. So as we go on, we will rename the sheet to suit each individual pivot table. So in order to create any data, you click on any cell on this pivot table, and then you see the pivot table field, all right, the active and all. And then now we want to create the pivot table for total revenue by year. Okay, and for that we'll have to look for the dates. Okay, if you already have the year specified, good, you just pick that and then you use that. Okay, so we will be using the ship dates. Okay, using the order date peculiarly, so we'll drag that there. So we'll drag that there, and then for the values, we'll bring in the revenue, which is at the top. We'll bring in the revenue and total revenue, drag that there, and total revenue. Okay, so we have the total revenue and all of that. So the date currently is not indicating as it ought. That is because of our original data set. So let's go to there and do some formatting. Okay, let's format that to be the date, to be in date format. Okay, and then what other things that need formatting? Okay, let me format this. Okay, we could leave that as it is, and then ship date would also be formatted as date. Okay, and then we'll come back to this sheet and go to data and refresh all. So the data has refreshed, and you could see that the date has been formatted accordingly. Okay, and in that manner, if we click on that on the date, you would see now if we should include the date, the other date, and impute that here. It's loading. Let's quickly wait for that. Okay, so now that it has loaded, you could see the year, you could see the quarter by quarter, order by date by quarter, you could see by month. So we'll tick month, we'll tick quarter, and then we could see the individual year of this, and then also the sum of this data. Okay, so you could do other formatting by converting them to to currency and all of that. I think leaving that in the main data set would be fine by me. So I'll just select unit price, unit cost, and then total cost, and then format that by currency. Okay, change that to currency and that. Okay, and then I'll come back to data and refresh all and refresh. Still refreshing. Okay, so let's wait for it to refresh and we will proceed. And now it has refreshed. Okay, so let's work with our data now. And here we could see that the dates are in two. So as we go up and then cancel this other date, so we have the year already alone. So we have the year. So we have 2010, 2011, 2020, 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. So the next thing is to import our table. So to import our table, hit on the data and then come to analyze. Ensure you place your cursor on any cell in the data, and then you go to analyze, and under that you can see pivot chart. Okay, so we can impute our own pivot chart. So for this we need a line chart, and we can impute this line chart. Okay, but then if you see this line chart, you see let's import this line chart, and then you will see. Okay, so this is the line chart we have imputed. Okay, if you don't want to impute your own pivot chart, you could also get suggestions by going to insert. All right, ensure you select your data also, and then go to recommended chart, and we want a line, and Excel is going to give us one. So depending on what you want, so we have this, and you could see we have this set of data already. Okay, and I can decide to format this to suit. I can go and then change that to currency and reduce the size. Okay, so this leaves our data as currency, and it's much more better once you put that back like that, and we just get that without the dollar sign included. So you just use this comma style and all of that, and then remove the figures, and so we have this data just like we inserted our own chart earlier, our own line uh graph earlier. Okay, so there are more formatting we could do to this table. We could eradicate this button field, this field button, eradicate every one of them. And then this is legend. We can also remove the legend by coming to this plus sign and unticking the legend, and it is out. And then also we could do other formatting. We don't need a table representation of it, so we need the axis titles, the y-axis and the x-axis, which is the column and the rows. Okay, and then also we also need a data label to for better understanding of this data. But if you can see, the amount are entirely scattered, so to do that we go to this drop down, and then we could select any format. If you have small data, it will be very fine, but for now we have large data, so I go to more option and then go to numbers and change it from general to custom. Okay, and if we see the drop down, we have several other customs that has been written. Now you could do that from here. Okay, so there was a code I imputed, and that code is let's impute that, so that you say greater than 99 $199, $199, then close that, and then you put your comma, double comma, and then you impute the double comma, and you impute the quotation and then million, and then you close the quotation, and then you put a semicolon. Okay, and then you put hash again, comma, and then you impute the quotation and 0 million, and then you close the quotation, and that you can add to your set of data, and you could see that it has been formatted to suit that, and it is much easier to see, to look at. All right, and then we could close that, and also do the same for the revenue as is, by going through, by clicking on it, double tapping on it, and that opens. Then you go to the number and you change the style to what we want. Okay, and we could see all of that. So enlarging this, you could see the entire data set, very nice, and well arranged. And then we could do other formatting as well. We could change the color of the, we could change the color by coming down and then selecting a color type for our graph. All right, so I'll leave that with green, or we could leave that, okay, could leave that with yellow or green. So I'll leave that for green. And also, we could represent this, we could change the style and then pick a different, you know, a different line graph and all that, depending. Now, if you see the data label is out, and I can impute that again, and then go back and, you know, better arrange the, okay, and this is that. So this is a line graph representing this data, and that is not all. The as is title, we have to impute that. So we impute the year, impute year, and then we impute revenue. Okay, you could change the font or increase the font size, and then this as well, 14. And also we could change the total to, we can name this chart to make it, much more better, revenue by year. Now you could easily see the individual amount and all that. Okay, so this is the line graph for this data, and every information could be seen. If you want to take out the grid lines around it, you could just come to this plus and then untick the grid lines, and it is out. Okay, just that. Okay, and then we are done with that. So we'll go to the next table. We'll go to the next table, and for this uh we want to format this based on the year and region. So we want to format based on year and region. That is to say, we will drag the year once again. I can go down and just take just the year, drag that there, and then the region, the individual region, we'll take that and put that in the column area. Then you can see the year and then the region. Remember, it is for easier interpretation. That is the use of pivot table. And then the next thing is our revenue. We take the revenue and drag that into values. Anything that has to do with calculations, you just take that and impute that into the revenue region area. So we could highlight this entire data and go to the home tab and impute the column, excuse me, and then reduce that to, so we have this entire data already. Okay, we have this entire data. So the next thing is to import a chart. So click on that, and then we'll go to insert and go to recommended chart. We have this cluster chart, but I want to choose this column, and then we can see that we have this. And so you can see that we have this column, and then we could eliminate certain things. Again, once again, this uh feed button, hide all feed button, and that is out. And then we could increase that and all that. So now we'll leave the legend because it explains the different region, like this sub-Saharan Africa. You can see that at the top, the North America next, and then the Middle East, then the Europe, then Central America. And our formatting is not done. Come to this plus and then impute as is, and then chart title, which is very important, and then data label. Okay, but this time you could see that the data label is going to be really really rough. Change that to the million and we have that. So we have this information, and this has this increase the size to 12, and that also to 12. Okay, and then we name that as, we have that as revenue, and then this as well. We can come to the formula tab and type revenue, and then revenue by year and region, and then enter. So you could see all of that. What we have is fine, just good enough for what we want to represent. Okay, so this is how we formatted that and all that. In case you want to change this and make it bolder, like change the color type and make that bolder, you can include that and make it bolder, same, then make that bolder. Okay, so we have this already sorted out. Could work on that on the as well, and then the y-axis tab as the x-axis tab as well. Okay, so we have this revenue by year and region. Now we go to the third, and we would be a bit snappy with this. So we want to have we want to interpret this data based on revenue and total cost by region. Revenue and total cost by region. So that implies we'll bring the region and impute that into rows. Okay, and then we have our revenue into column, and then total cost as well into the that. Okay, so we have sum of cost and then sum of revenue for each and every one of the states. Okay, and I can change that from general to this and just remove the and decrease the decimals. Okay, so we have this, and then we can go to data and import a data set for what we want. Okay, so recommended charts. Oh, we selected. So you see, ensure to always select the data. I wasn't. So recommended charts, and then we have this. Okay, we have this column. About to select a combo. Let's see. Okay, we have this combo between the sum of total cost and sum of total revenue. So we have this combo, and I can select this combo. Okay, so we have this, and we'll also take away the feed buttons, idle feed buttons, and then this could easily tell sum of total cost and sum of total revenue. So we have a combo between a graph and a line. Okay, so quickly let's do some formatting. Quickly double tap and numbers, and then type, and that is that. Okay, and also we have that we could change formatting style depending on what we want. I guess the ones we have is very fine. Like, okay, this is sticker pointing the lines, and this is what we have. Okay, we could go with this. All right, and then if you choose to, work on the colors, then we could work with this, but the color we have is fine. Okay, so you could just go around and, now most times this color should be based on your organization, on the color of your organization for better, data representation and all that. So let's see. um we need chart title. Obviously, this is already seen as revenue. We already have the amounts, and then these countries are already there. There's no point of imputing, the region. Okay, we can impute the region because of the country. So let's quickly do that, and that is fine. Or we can untick that. I think I should take this out. Delete. Delete. Okay, so we have this data set clearly stated and fine. And then if you want to ensure it is, well understood, especially with the amount, you could just move that down. So we have just this now. So it can clearly be seen that the revenue is the orange line, is the line graph, and then the um sum total cost is the chart, is the column. Okay, is the column. So we have all of that, and the cost that is spent across that country. And from here you could easily see from the total that there was good profit. All right, there was good profit based on region and the cost. There was a good profit. Then we have the next sheet. We have our next sheet, which is this. And for this one to do revenue by order priority. Revenue by order priority. Now if you come back to our set of data in sheet 3, you see that we have order priority, we have the low order priority, we have the medium order priority, we have high order priority, we have middle, and we have critical, which is C. Okay, so we want to do that based on order priority. So we come down and search for order priority. In case if it is too long, we just search for order. So you could see that, and then just drag that to roll. All right, and then drag also. We'll go back and type revenue, and then drag that in here. Okay, so that is that. In case you want to sort this column, you just click on any cell and then go to sort, and sort from smallest to largest and all that. Okay, so we have this to include a chart representation of this graphically. We'll click on any cell, go to charts, recommended charts. We have column and not the rest, but let's get a pie chart. We can have this pie charts 3D, can have the normal pie charts, we can have this, can have that, but let's keep it on. Okay, so we have this data and all that, and then delete this idle, and also the total is revenue by order by priority. All right, and then we could also do some data Yes, that is very important for this. And we could, you know, do a data callout based on percentage. You could see every data percentage, and so we could format this data as well and go to the number and then change the category to custom, and then select what we want to see. So you could see everything in plain sight. And then in case you want to change the color, you could always go back and see what's possible. I think this is quite better. So we'll go by this, and then we just, change the numbers again, select custom, and do that. So we have this order priority already, and this can easily be seen. Order by revenue by order priority, and then we can just rename this sheet. Okay, so sheet 5, we are almost there. So sheet 5, to do that, we have to go to so the next one is revenue by countries. So we impute countries, and then revenue, total revenue. All right, because this is an aspect the country, this is an aspect management will want to see after investment. What is the return on investment? So revenue is very, very important for any organization in order to make wise decision or make better decision for the next working years, for the next working year, for the next work calendar year, and all that. Okay, so we have this set of data from all countries and the amount, sum total amount so far, and then could highlight that entire cell. So instead of going down along with it, because it's a long set of data, you just select that and control shift space down space and all that, and then we format that based on what we want. And yes, so we'll go to insert and recommended charts, and for this we would uh, want a column, clustered columns. Let's look at any other column. Every country is slated here. Okay, let's see what we can make out of this. So first of all, I want to change the styling. Let's see what styling we could use. Okay, so we click on that and enlarge the data, and then we could easily see the information. So we have revenue by country, and that is done. So we finally revenue by items. So we just bring in the item type, and then revenue, total revenue, and impute that. Quickly format this. Okay, have that, and then let's sort this from highest to lowest. So go to data and then sort from largest to smallest. Okay, and that has been done. Then we'll click on that and go to insert, recommended charts, and we could use a bar chart for this. Okay, a bar chart. All right, let's take away this quickly, and let's take away this. It is obvious. Okay, and then increase that, and change this numbering system here to what we have already. Okay, I think this is fine. And then we could take away the grid lines as well. Grid lines of the grid lines, and we don't need a table. Data label, I think that will work fine here. Yes, data label works fine here. We could leave this amount since it is easier to see. We can leave that, and as this title, we don't need that. Okay, trade line, do we need a trade line? Nope, we don't need a trade line. Digent, no, already known. We don't need gradient. We don't need error tab, though that's if you're looking for the error bar and all that. We don't need that. Okay, don't need a table. I think this is just fine. Okay, and we could select some order. Just go through that. Nope. Okay, if there's anything we have to change is color. Let's think green works fine. Okay, so we have this already, and then quickly revenue by item, revenue by items. There's grid lines. Let's take away the grid lines. Okay, we have that. All right. Okay, so we have this, and let's rename this by revenue by items. Okay, so with this, we have successfully included a chart, a visual representation to each and every of the analysis. Revenue by, from revenue by year to revenue by year and region, costs, and revenue by, from total revenue by year to revenue by year and region, and the rest of them until revenue by items. Okay, so in the next video, I'll be taking every one of these graphs into a dashboard, and make everything responsive. So see you in the next